Greetings, gentlemen and ladies. I am the Crypto Game Snob, and the Nerf stick has come out, and it has been swinging with wild abandon. All of your favorite cards have been nerfed. No, not quite, but a lot of them have been nerfed. Let's take a look at the damage. what we're looking at here. Archangel Bruiser has had its health change from 3 to 2. That's not too significant in my opinion, just because Archangel Bruiser usually dies anyways when you throw it out there to clear the board. It often just dies. This will help it to make sure it dies. Yeah, it's from 3 to 2, but again, usually it just dies. You throw it down to overkill and whatever, blitz, and it usually dies whatever you hit anyway, so this is probably not too significant. I also don't really think it was necessary. It's kind of both of those things, not really significant nor necessary. Just kind of weakening the card for some reason. It doesn't really weaken its function, like it doesn't really weaken the purpose of this card. But I guess, yeah, okay. Anyway, Soul Survivor had its text change from +5 strength to +3 strength. Actually, as a war player, I've been playing Soul Survivor myself a lot. I actually think this is okay. Soul Survivor is kind of OP. I don't like playing against it and having the entire board wiped and then having your opponent swing into your face. This is sort of a card that can ruin otherwise perfectly good games. It's like, oh, you drew Soul Survivor at mana 6, and oh, you just won the game because of it. That's kind of unfair. And I can, as a war player myself, and as someone who plays against this card, I don't like playing against it, and it typically feels kind of unfair. But that being said, it's kind of hard to get this card actually actioned a lot of the times. +3 strength is probably a reasonable solution to this card. A little bit. I mean, it's still probably going to clear the entire board, right? It's still probably going to do what it's meant to do for the most part. Yeah, really depending. Hard to see how this one's going to play out. I'm not too sure. Sudden Bloom has been changed from +5/5 to +4/4, otherwise exactly the same. I don't see this as too significant of a nerf on Sudden Bloom. The main thing about Sudden Bloom that makes it powerful is that Overkill and Twin Strike. So yeah, it's still going to be big, just -1 to its stats. Yeah, I think Sudden Bloom survived the Nerf stick decently well. Warmonger Smith, to me this seems like an unnecessary nerf. Your relic gets +1 strength instead of +2 strength for its next attack. War kind of like uses the synergy of relics and the cards and all this other sort of stuff that it likes to play in the way that helps it to win. I guess War is kind of OP at the moment. A lot of the top decks, or a lot of the players, are just kind of focusing on War these days because, well, it's kind of maybe the most powerful. So, I mean, was it a necessary nerf to Warmonger Smith? I don't really think so. It kind of takes your skeleton heavy card, your Warmonger Smith equivalent, and just makes it a tiny bit weaker, but still skeleton heavy. Yeah, I mean, I guess this is okay. It's kind of here and there. It kind of makes the Warmonger Smith less of a awesome card and more of a pretty good card, right? Kind of changes it to that. Now, when I first read this, I thought, oh my god, that is the worst thing they could have nerfed. Why did they nerf that? Moonlight Charm text change from 1/3 to 0/3, and I thought, well, that won't allow you to trigger your frenzy anymore with your charm, which is often how you have to do it when you're playing a Moonlight Charm deck. Just because you don't have a creature on the board, you're dropping down something at 3 mana, so you're losing tempo, and you need to be able to get your creature big and strong, like on your next turn, ready to go. But now, it's actually saying no longer, if you're frenzied, give your creature +2/+2 to just ability, give +2/+2 to your strongest creature. So you no longer need to swing with that 1 durability of relic to get that frenzy charge. It just straight up gives your creature +2/+2 frenzied or not. So this is not a nerf, in my humble opinion. You don't really want to swing with your Moonlight Charm anyway. You don't want to do 1 point of damage and sacrifice +2/+2. That's kind of your worst case scenario for triggering that frenzy, just to make sure your creature gets buffed. So this is not a nerf. This is a buff. This is a buff. Fenian Fruitbearer stats reduced from 2/3 to 2/2. I don't really like to see this too much. It would have been nicer to see this nerf to like 1/3 or something like that. 2/2 makes him quite a lot easier to clear, and he wasn't even that hard to clear, right? If you were able to stick your Finian Fruit Bearer and get some of his fruits out, that was because things were going well. Otherwise, Finian Fruit Bearer, oftentimes you play him and he's the first thing to get taken off the board, and he's not too hard to clear. He doesn't have backline, he doesn't have protected. You know, he's just a normal creature on the board with 3 points of health, decently easy to clear. He was also like one of the strongest cards in the game, so I can see what the devs were thinking. We got to figure out some way to nerf him without, you know, actually nerfing his primary function. So a health change to 2/2. I don't like to see it. I think it was kind of cool for each of the gods to have their own, you know, kind of cool, like powerful card. Odie for war. What was it? Lady Marcella and I forget the Eva Baroness of the Dead. I think it was kind of cool for each of the gods to get their own 3 mana, quite strong and interesting card. I don't really think it was necessary to nerf Finian, but I guess Finian's looking at a little health nerf there. Will that make a big difference in how he's played? I'm not too sure. You know, he's a little bit easier to clear, but he was never really that hard to clear in the first place. So, yeah. Anyway, Odie also. Now this is where we have a serious nerf, like a severe nerf. Backline, it's basically the same as before, but backline was removed. So everything's the same, but backline has been removed. Now I played quite a lot of Odie early, kind of a Soul Survivor decks, and the number of times I was actually able to utilize Odie even with backline, very few. Very few times I was actually able to get value out of Odie's, you know, face attack reduce mana cost. Like it did not happen that often. And that's kind of the point of having these sort of special cards, is that they have special abilities that kind of make the game swing in an interesting way. To remove backline from Odie, I don't know. Like I say, it was already hard to get him to use him. I feel like he's going to become like really hard to use, and also, you know, you have to have something good in your hand for him to reduce that mana cost by. Yeah, this might be too severe of a nerf. I think Odie was fine, honestly. I thought I didn't mind playing against him, and I thought when I played with him, it was hard to get him to stick that hit to your opponent's god's face. And it was also kind of, you know, you had to have something in your hand to make that worthwhile as well. You had to line up a lot of things. I don't think you need to remove the backline. I think Odie was fine the way he was. So, yeah, I'm calling that unnecessary, and it might be possibly severely detrimental for this card. I'm not sure. We'll see how this plays out. But Blight Bomb, destroy a creature with 3 health or less to destroy a creature with 2 health or less. Now, Blight Bomb was definitely annoying a lot of the times, getting anything Blight Bombed through protected or whatever, or, you know, I guess it didn't go through ward, but it did go through protected, and just to, you know, have your creature removed so easily. That being said, is this the kind of nerf that will make this card kind of useless? Maybe. It kind of borderlines on that. 3 health, you know, makes it really quite good. 2 health maybe reduces the amount of viability that it actually has, to the point that it may no longer be viable in death decks. I'm not too sure. Kind of would have to play around with that one. This is an unfortunate nerf as well. Just a nibble, reduce healing from 7 to 5, otherwise the same. I feel like I would no longer want to have this in my deck at 5 health as opposed to 7 health. You also, of course, still have to have a creature on the board. You still have to do damage to it. Yeah, and death is often so far behind, you know, in terms of health and healing. It needs to recover its health, and just a nibble is an important part of that. So I'm not a fan of this nerf. I don't think it's a necessary nerf. I think it's kind of unnecessarily nerfing this card that was fine. I think 7 was a good amount. You know, 10 obviously too much. 5 I think is too little. 7 was a pretty good amount. Yeah, I mean, I never really felt like when I was playing against it that was too OP, and I never really feel like when I play it, you know, it's just too powerful. 7 was a good amount. I think 5 is too weak. I don't think I'd want this in my deck anymore. So that's kind of an unfortunate nerf. Giant Pangolin has its armor changed from 2 to 1. This is kind of an unimportant nerf, because typically when you throw down your Giant Pangolin, he's typically clearing out something fairly big, and he usually dies from the counterattack anyway, even with that 2 armor. I think this was an unnecessary nerf, and even if he doesn't die from that 2 armor, he only has 3 health to start with, right? So he takes a little bit of damage back and what, maybe has like a point of health left over or whatever, so he's pretty easy to clear on the next turn. I've never had this creature survive really more than, you know, the time I throw him down and then the next turn, basically. Like, he almost never lasts for more than a turn. So I don't really feel like there was a point in nerfing the armor down to 1. I don't really think this is going to affect how Giant Pangolin is played at all, but I also really don't think it was necessary. Like, it's kind of a here nor there nerf. I don't think it was necessary. It kind of takes a little bit of the flavor out of the creature, in that, yes, he can survive some small creature, you know, counterattacks, but yeah, you know, armor is kind of the glass cannon of the meta, right? It's almost like a spell, but you get a creature on the board with weak health, as opposed to, you know, weak health and blitz, and then maybe a little armor to survive something. But it seems like the devs have decided that armor was too powerful or something, and they're basically reducing anything with armor down to its lowest impossible option, you know, with a few exceptions to that, I'm sure. Aspect of Pangolin, I don't see that changed. I don't see the Spiny Porcupine with its 4 armor and that sort of stuff. There's some, you know, obviously some things that are still there, but yeah, there you have it. Like I say, in recap, Soul Survivor, probably a good nerf. Archangel Bruiser, again, this is kind of your equivalent of Giant Pangolin, an unnecessary nerf that doesn't really change how the card is played probably too much, just because it's that blitzy, you know, blitzy creature meant to deal with usually one thing on the board and usually dies from whatever attacks anyways. In some, you know, with some small exceptions. This will kind of guarantee that this is, will pretty much always die. This will kind of guarantee also that this will pretty much always die. Like, what are you attacking at 6 mana that can't hit back for 4 points of damage, right? Yeah, not too much. So that's it. That's a look at the nerfs that are potentially coming. These are still on the PTR. If I had my humble opinion on anything, I would leave Finny and Fruitbearer alone. I would leave Odie alone, or if you're going to take away the backline, at least change him to, I don't know, 2-3 or 2-4 or something like that. 2-4 is probably too strong. But yeah, you know, do something to help compensate for that, because he's already hard enough to stick, and it's already too circumstantial that he's actually got something good to reduce the mana of. And yeah, there's just like a lot of factors that go into actually getting Odie to work properly. Yeah, even with backline. So I think that's too much of a nerf. Warmonger Smith is kind of here nor there. Sudden Boom is still going to be good. And yeah, let's see, Blight Bomb would probably make me not want to use Blight Bomb. Just a nibble would probably make me not want to use just a nibble. So that's my opinion. Okay, those are the nerfs that we're looking at.